Hey,
This
Dr.
way?
Marcos.
I guess I'm ready.
Are you ready, Kaylin? All right. Hello, Dr. Marcos.
Hello,
and,
Emily.
Thank you for sitting down with us today.
It's always good to be here.
All right. So, for our audiences, can you tell us who you are and what you teach?
I am Lou Markos, and I'm a professor of English. I've been here for 25 years, and I'm an English professor, so my specialty are the Romantics and the Victorian poets, and C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, and a few other things. But I also teach in the Honors College, lecture on ancient Greece and Rome, so it's fun.
So, out of curiosity, why do you teach English and all in the classics?
Well, when I was an undergraduate, I was a double major, like a lot of people are here, and I double majored in English and history, so I had a special love in both English and history. But I decided after a while that my first love was literature. I felt like, even though I loved history, I felt like you really got to understand people by reading their books. So you can study the Middle Ages, or you can read Canterbury Tales, and then you're in the mind of them. And so I've always had a love of the early classics, Greece and Rome, and I've had a love of epics, and then I've had a love of the 19th century, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Byron, Shelley, Keats, Tennyson, good stuff. And I've taught film, too, in the past.
Okay. How did you become interested did you actually answer that?
Or maybe not. Well, like most times you ask people why they're English majors in undergraduate. I think the most common answer is I had a great high school English teacher. Did you have a good high school English teacher? I don't know if you did.
I had a few good English teachers. Most of them, they've helped me develop my interest in writing, and so that's why I like English.
Okay, I see. But I had a very, very good one. I remember, it's kind of funny, but I was, junior or senior in high school, and he said to me, "Lou, I only say this to 1 in 10,000 students, but you would make a fine English professor." And so actually when I went to college, the RA asked us, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to double major in English and history, and then I'm going to go on to get a PhD in English and be an English professor." And the RA said, "We'll ask you again next year what you want to do." And I said, "No, that's what I'm going to do." Because most undergrads have no idea. But I had that sense right away. So I went straight through, and that meant when I graduated, I was only 27. So I've been here for 25 years, since I was 27. But always loved literature.
I also heard that, I had one English teacher who told me that if you want to teach the gospel in schools, English is probably one of the best subjects you can teach to do that.
I think so. I think that the links are so much more obvious in English just because most of Western literature is based on the Bible. Now, oddly, though, if you go to most schools and go to the English department, those tend to be the most liberal, secular people of all. It's kind of funny. You're actually more likely to find believers in the sciences, in a secular school, than in English. But so to me, it's kind of like trying to reclaim literature and the humanities. Something's speaking. There's an echo.
I'm really sorry. Can you repeat your answer, please, Dr.
Okay,
Marcos?
where did I start with? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know your phone would immediately do that.
You're using notes. Okay.
I was just checking the time.
That's right. Now, it is true that English is a good major to teach if you want to make links to the Bible, because almost all of Western literature is based on the Bible, so there are Christian themes all the time. But oddly, if you go to a regular secular school, usually the English department is the most liberal, most secular, most radical and whatnot. You find more believers amongst the sciences and stuff, because English people have a way of just making up whatever they want. But to me, at HBU, we're sort of reclaiming the humanities, which should be the centerpiece of Christianity. So yeah, for me, especially when I teach things like Chronicles of Narnia and Lord of the Rings, but also John Donne and George Herbert. I've taught them in the past, two of the greatest Christian writers, Milton, of course, Dante. Always loved teaching Dante. So it's a good place to make connections between faith and reason, or faith and learning.
You said you've been teaching at HBU for how long?
25 years.
25
Longer than
years.
you've been alive.
That is true. That is very true. So, how did you come to HBU?
Because God has a sense of humor. Seriously. I got my PhD at the University of Michigan, and I remember when I was looking for colleges to go to, I was open to wherever God wanted to send me. But I was quite sure that God would never send me down south, because I'm from New Jersey, a Yankee. I was quite sure God would not want me to live in a big city. And I was quite sure that he was going to send me to a secular school. And of course, he sent me to a Christian school down south in a big city. But that's really where the direction was. And I was a little bit, a little apprehensive at first. But when I came down here to do my interview and saw the place and met Dr. Hodo, who just sadly passed away a few weeks ago, my first boss, I just immediately felt this is where God wants you. And it's been wonderful. And HBU's always been Christian, but it's been getting even more so over the last 15 or 20 years. More and more focus on faith and reason and bringing Athens and Jerusalem together. That's always been my passion. Judeo-Christian and Greco-Roman, bringing them together. Remember, I am Greek after all.
Can you tell us a few things about your Greek heritage? You are very proud.
I am indeed. I am. Well, first of all 4 of my grandparents were born in Greece, so I'm actually 100% Greek. All 4 grandparents were born in Greece. They came to America about 1930 or so. So my parents were born here, and I was born here. So I'm what you call third generation. But my parents, were fluent in Greek. I know a little bit of Greek. But what's neat is that my relatives go back to Sparta, and my name, Lewis, if I'd been born in Greece, my name would have been Leonidas, like the 300 Spartans. So I want to trace direct. That's right. There's a statue down there. Yeah, you can pick it up. We'll put it on the. You see it all the way down there, with the spear.
I'll hold that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, watch out! It's an earthquake. We can put it right here. This is my man, Leonidas. The modern Greeks pronounce it Leonidas. He is the one that took his 300 Spartans. Look, he's attacking you right there.
I remember reading about him.
And Herodotus is.
I remember that he. I can't remember which battle it was, but he.
Thermopylae.
Thermopylae. He sacrificed himself so that because of a prophecy from the Orphan
Right.
Daughter.
You remember very good. That there was 2 kings, and one of the kings had to be sacrificed if Greece was to win. And 300 Spartans held this narrow pass against tens of thousands of Persians. They all died, but they weakened them. And the people that fought in the Alamo in Texas 150 years ago or so, they were conscious of the fact that they were the new Thermopylae. They were the new Spartans that were holding the line. So, yeah, I usually dress like this when I teach, too, like that. Yeah. Maybe I should, I don't know. But this is him. This is the man.
I'm guessing now that you've been... wearing suspenders lately because of... Because I know that you've had a tendency to hang things on your belt.
That's true. So I finally got tired of my belt slipping down, and I had to make my belt so tight I got a stomach ache. So it's only been a little over a year, and but you have to understand that as a professor, simple things are very difficult for me. I have no understanding about clothing or furniture or anything like that, and I remember thinking I can't wear suspenders because every time I go to the bathroom I have to take my suspenders off until I suddenly realized you just do that. It took me a long time to realize that. See, I don't think that way. I also have no sense of direction. If I go to a restaurant and then I go use the bathroom, when I come out of the bathroom, I invariably turn the wrong way and end up in the kitchen. Yeah, which is kind of scary. But no, this is my new thing. I used to always have this holster that I would put my water bottle in, but it kept pulling my pants down. So now I got this, and I can just put it in my pocket. So it does shock students that knew me 2 years ago, because I was famous for my holster. I do believe that an English professor should have some idiosyncrasies. We should be a little bit of a character. I think it's important.
And let's see, you tend to crack a lot of jokes in
Yeah, got to do that.
Are you preparing any Aggie jokes for this?
I don't know. To think about it, yeah, the Aggie jokes could. Well, see, as a Christian, I'm really not supposed to be, making fun of, like different ethnicities or something. So God told me, well, just make fun of Aggies and everybody's happy. And I've learned that if you tell an Aggie joke, nobody's offended. Because if they're not an Aggie, they're not offended. If they are an Aggie, they don't get the joke. And so they're not offended either. So it was good. It's better than telling blonde jokes. You see, I went to the University of Michigan, right? And University of Michigan has a rivalry with MSU, Michigan State University. And MSU are Aggies. They're an A&M school. So when I was in Michigan, we told MSU jokes. And actually, there's a great irony to this, though. And it's very, very confusing. Now, I hope you're catching this. Michigan State University are Spartans. That's their mascot, okay? But I went to University of Michigan, the Wolverines. In fact, I will tell you a true story. I went to University of Michigan for grad school, and my brother went there, too, for an MBA. And one day, a friend of ours, he was also getting a master's in something, I think music. He was down in the study lounge, and my brother and I came in, and as we normally do, we riled everybody up, and then we left. Now, after we left, our friend, his name was Pete, became my best man. Pete was trying to impress this cute little sorority girl, little blonde girl. And after we left, Pete turned to this girl and said, "Hey, you know, those two are Greek brothers." And she said, "Oh, they're in a fraternity?" He said, "No, no, no." He said, "They're Greek. They're Spartans." And she said, "Oh, they're from MSU?" And he finally gave up. This girl could not conceive of the fact, this little sorority girl couldn't conceive of the fact that there was a country called Greece with people known as Greeks that were not fraternity boys. So anyway, it's a true story from before you were born.
Okay, so let's see. Why did you you said you stayed at HBU for 25 years. What made you stay here at HBU? Like why?
Well,
why did you stay?
right away. I mean, I knew this was home right away. And what's interesting about HBU is that we are incredibly diverse. So this is a Christian school, so it means I can bring up Christianity in class. But over 10% of our students are Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish. We have a lot of students that are just non-believers. So to me, it's the perfect place where, you know, God can use me to disciple people that are already Christians, to talk to people that are new Christians, to share the gospel with people from other religions. So, I mean, I just love the atmosphere, and there's so much camaraderie. I mean, people respect each other, and I love teaching, you know, students from India, Pakistan, Egypt, Vietnam. They're all over the world. Nigeria, a lot of students from India, a lot of students from the Philippines.